Autism Sprinter. Think equity. Yeah. It's time to give the power back to the people. We're fighting to make our beliefs equal. Look at the failed policies and how they treat you. We got strength, yeah, we're far from feeble. This is for anyone with autism or a disability. Time to unite, show them how strong our will can be. Move readily, we're promoting equity. A non-profit platform, that's the recipe. Now throw your hands up, we finally got a winner. Think equity with Autism Sprinter. Now throw your hands up, we finally got a winner. Think equity with Autism Sprinter. It's time to make a change. It's time to stand up for what we believe in. Equality and equity across the board. No matter your race, nation, or creed, disability, or your needs. Yes, it gotta be equal. It gotta be right.
Hey, mi gente, how are you? How are you? Excuse me, but I'm super excited to be here, okay? Because I'm excited and humbly honored to share my parent power with you. I see you all in the back. I don't know why your Zoom camera's not on, but I see you. I see your parent. I see many parents here, and I'm just super excited to be part of this amazing conference online because there's nothing more powerful than advocates, parents, community leaders, elected officials being here on this day, being part of the solution. So again, I'm Yahaira Lopez. I'm the founder and executive director of Autism Sprinter. So welcome to the Parent Power Workshop. So welcome. I'm a little bit animated, y'all, so excuse me. This is how I kind of stay sane, right? So a little bit about me. My name, again, is Yahaira Lopez. I am the founder of a parent-led grassroots organization, Autism Sprinter. I know the struggles of being a parent of children with unique abilities, such as autism and ADHD. You know, and as you know, if you're a parent of boys, it's interesting to say the least. But what kids are not fun, right? So I call my house the house of chaos, but fun chaos, because it's never a dull moment. And this mommy here has to always stay on her A game, right? Because the kids really run the house. So, my boys are 10, going on 11. They are currently in 5th grade. Oh my goodness. I can't deal. Preteens, well, we're getting there. And I am not ready for any of this. None at all. I want them to be babies again. But I'm pumped that they're getting older and coming into themselves and, sharing their awesomeness and hopefully be leaders in the future and changing, the world that accessible for everyone with disabilities. So, all right. I get a little nervous too, so bear with me as well. My sons were born prematurely. I started having contractions at 28 weeks. I was placed on bed rest, was, given medication, and several different ways of not delivering early because they wasn't ready. Their lungs weren't fully developed. So I had to go through a lot of things, man. But then I delivered at 32 weeks. And they, were 4 pounds. Some medical issues such as high jaundice levels, heart murmurs, so it was intense. And I wouldn't change it all. I just want to take more naps, right? So I placed my career on hold back in 2014. Yes, my career struggled financially, spiritually, emotionally. Yeah, I did. And the reason for this was that one of my children required special education services. The other one did not meet the criteria to be put on an ed plan, even though when I started this journey and they were born prematurely, I had all the services in existence, for early intervention and all those services that come with when you have premature children. The hospital did an amazing job in connecting me in that aspect and kind of helping me navigate those resources. So, huge shout out to the Brigham's and Women's Hospital, NICU department. Those women, the nurses there are my sheroes. They were super helpful in stabilizing me, after leaving my sons in the hospital and having to stay there for a few weeks after I delivered them. Me going home without them was a lot. Um, so yeah, one of them ended up getting into public school at 3. The other one was in daycare. So my days typically started driving from Dorchester around the Fields Corner area all the way to um, the South End downtown line to bring one of my kids to daycare, to then coming all the way back down to Dorchester to bringing my son to school in his to his public school, and then getting myself to my job working in a public school. And at that current time I was working in a separate setting. um so y'all, it was interesting. um Emotionally interesting. And I sit here and laugh about it and smile about it. But the reality is, at that time, I was in a very dark space, emotionally and spiritually, because my son wasn't talking. You know, I was mom, dad, everything in between, and so it was a lot. So I departed from the public school uh, field, and I kind of took on the lead to be my child's leading teacher. Because what happened was that my son started public school, and the teacher who he had, first of all, was an amazing teacher, loved her dearly. When she was there, you can tell she was meant for that role as a separate leading teacher. The issue was that she had a child who had a disability. Don't know all the facts, but she did share that, and oftentimes she was out of work or out of the classroom more than she was in the classroom. So the first year when my son started school, I was super understanding, and family comes first. And I was a public school employee, so I understood the struggles of not being able to be with your children during the day, and leaving your child in the hands of other people, and missing so many school related events and missing appointments because this life that we live in, doctor's office and services are a 9 to 5 thing, and for people who work a 9 to 5 job, it's remotely impossible for you to work a full-time job. And if you have a child with a special needs, meet their needs medically and service wise, while all those services are scheduled in a 9 to 5 shift. So again, she was out more than she was in. So when we started the second year of him being in public school, month into school, it was back to the same trend of the teacher was out, substitutes all the time. And I just did not see my son making the progress that I felt that he needed and deserved. And so, it was really emotional picking up my son all the time, and he had different clothes on. Nobody could tell me why. And it was, a different substitute most of the time. Um, you know, and my son crying and not being able to verbalize and tell me what was happening in the classroom. So it was just a lot. So again, I departed from the public school system, and just did something a little bit different. But, I do have a degree in human service organizational management from Springfield. I got my bachelor's from Salem State Social Services. I have over 15 years working with children, youth, and families in many different capacities. I've worked for Boston Public Schools. I've worked for the Department of Children and Families. I've worked for the Boston Center for Youth and Families. I have currently been laid off, but technically I still see myself an employee as a family partner for Riverside and the crisis team. And I am a Boston Public School alumni who has been here in the city of Boston. Now I'm in Randolph, but been here in Mass since the age of 4. I am here to dedicate my life and my knowledge to improving the lives of families and their loved ones presented with unique abilities in navigating systems that seem impossible to understand. I believe every parent is more than just a caretaker. I believe parents are experts. And that's why we're here, y'all, because your parent power is amazing. Parents, you are the most powerful person when it comes to making decisions for your child. And I need you to know that. Let's say it together. I am a parent and I am powerful, and no decisions can be made for my children without my expertise at the table. All right, now, yes, say it again, y'all. All right, so this is where it all started. So as I mentioned, I departed from the public school system in 2014 to handle my business. Financially, it was horrible. Emotionally, it was a lot. Spiritually, it was challenging. But I had to do what I had to do, because I kind of felt that I was giving my parent power to everyone else but me. I trusted everyone besides my decisions. I put those with acronyms behind their names ahead of my thought process, ahead of my expertise, ahead of my parenting knowledge when it came to making decisions and the things that I felt that my son needed to be successful, navigating this diagnosis of autism. So as you can see, it's our classroom. Y'all, my credit cards are maxed out on this. Okay. So I took on to YouTube. I went to YouTube University. In YouTube University, I learned how to do occupational therapy tools. I learned speech and language tools. I learned how to sign language. I bought a book, but a lot of it I learned on YouTube University. I'm not an expert, guys. I'm not going to lie. I learned the most basic sign language skills because my son was 3, 4, around 3-ish, 4-ish year old when we were doing this. And we kept the classroom up and running into he went into first grade. And they're currently in 5th grade now, because I have twins, and I always speak one and I'm always like, I'm forgetting my other one. So again, I learned a lot of my skills in YouTube University. And as you can see, this was our classroom. A lot of the stuff wasn't in there. This is just when I had first designed it, and all the materials that I had in there, tons of sensory tools, tons of games. And as you can see, the way that I taught my son to develop his speech, built on his gross motor skills, fine motor skills. It was all based on hands-on learning and tons of play. And so, yeah. this is it. So as you can see, a few of the images, the bottom one on the left-hand side is my son circling on this, my son who's on the spectrum, circling letters. He had to identify I would say the letter, he needed it to identify it, circle it. Then we set it together and we did the sound together. The second image is him finding letters using Cheez-Its. Yeah, I loved it. Because we had snack time at that in the process. And kind of, I'm speeding ahead, but this also came about when I have moved from Boston and I now live in Randolph. Here in Randolph, our preschool program was not a full-time program. And I didn't know this. So again, you guys are learning in how I built my parent expertise and built my parent power. Was I totally was clueless. I just couldn't afford to live in Boston. And so this was the closest to Boston, and kept me as close as my family who's still in Boston in the Roxbury location. So when this situation was presented to me, in addition to other stresses of him being in school and the inconsistency of his learning and him accessing, the curriculum in school based on his educational plan, this is how this all kind of came about. So the third image you'll see is a shape map that I got from Walmart and some math manipulatives that I found on Amazon. And it was another game that we played. I would give them the shape. I would say, find it. They would have to place it on the mat and on top of where the shape was. We did a lot of dances, sounds, all that amazing stuff. The fourth image is us building, using our engineering skills to build houses out of marshmallows and toothpicks. And then the last one is us using books and creating pictures. Again, a lot of sensory, because believe it or not, my son on the spectrum did not like to touch anything that was wet, gooey, but loves a pool, loves being in water, just did not like a lot of different textures. So I was on a mission to making sure that he touched slime and that he touched whatever gooey and wet stuff that he could, because, even when we were out and about on an average day, he did not like public bathrooms. He would have complete meltdowns. It was a lot. So I was trying to find ways to really, truly, have him be part of the world. So yeah, let's see. The next is, I want us to kind of take a look at this data. I haven't updated since 2017, but the reason why Autism Sprinter was birthed, after me kind of taking my time and being on social media and sharing my personal story using Facebook and sharing the videos that I was doing in the home classroom, a lot of my friends supported me and helped me build Autism Sprinter. And, these are some of the state enrollments from, going from 2014 to 2017. These are how many students have been enrolled in special education. Thousands of children and their families are navigating the special education system, needing specialized instructions. But unfortunately, the needs of students are not always met, often neglected due to lack of funding and resources. And, my thing is, how can we have more parents at the decision-making table? So this is just another picture of my son on the top hand left. It has a shirt that says "Wired Differently." Yeah, he is. He's wired differently. He is just such a unique person and comes in the space with an amazing smile, and he has so much to give to the world. And we need to make sure that the world is ready to embrace kids that think differently. And are very direct, because my son is very direct. And on the right-hand side is our last superhero party that we had at for Autism Sprinter, Autism Awareness Month, every month prior to every month, not every month, y'all, every year prior to the pandemic, in April, we held an autism awareness superhero celebration. We honored kids in the community as the true superheroes of the world. We also have a hike for autism that we host every year. And then the last picture on the bottom right hand corner is when we had an amazing collaboration with Yogibo from the Braintree Mall, that they donated us a lot of their pillows and teddy bears, kind of that we donated to families and Randolph Public Schools, specifically the sub-separate classrooms. You know, how was I, why am I here today, and why do I stand before you and saying that parents have the power to make decisions and making sure that they have a seat at the decision making tables? And these are some of the problems that I encountered as a parent, navigating the system. I found that there was a lot of lack of communication. I would drop off my son to school, never knew that the teacher had called out, and there was a substitute. I would just show up. My son would be in different clothes, crying. I just didn't know. I felt like people weren't accountable, because, again, information was not communicated to me about what progress he was making and not making, and taking accountability that although the teacher needed to and should have been prioritizing her family, that there should have been systems in place to support the teacher, to making sure that there was some form of accountability for the students in that classroom. A third thing that I find, that there's always lack of funding and programs for those that are in this workshop. You know, our children who have IEPs or 504s bring additional monies to the educational system, right? So let's say, example, here in Randolph Public Schools, and I'm just doing examples, that, the per pupil expenditure is 12,000, maybe 14,000. Let's shoot up with 14,000. Your child who has an IEP or 504 plan brings an additional $2 to maybe $4,000 for per pupil expenditure. So sometimes I can't wrap my head around my son bringing almost $20,000 of federal and state funding, to a school district, and not being able to have access to a curriculum that is challenging him, or having the staff needed to help students who need to learn differently, and who require a little bit more TLC than an average student. I also find that the IEP services, sometimes are still part of the status quo. We're not challenging our students. We're not thinking out of the box and modernizing, special education, and being more inclusive in that. And these are just my parent thoughts. And a lot of what I've also experienced is that, when my son was getting ready to move past, sub-separate and going into inclusion, I found several violations. And again, these are all things that I've just learned in 2014, 2015, is why I'm where I am today as a parent, feeling like my power is my parenting skills and expertise that I bring to the table when it comes to decision making. I realized that here, in my school district, that my son never got ABA services, and it was stipulated in his IEP. Came to find out that they only did the consultation model, never received progress report. So there were some violations, and I don't think I was alone in that. So, these are the things. This is This is, again, how I built myself as a parent expert. And I believe that my parenting voice is my power. The power of your advocacy, parents, is we have to identify ways into improving special education practices through a parent and school partnership. And I know it's difficult. Let me tell you guys, I talk to myself often, because there's times that I want to walk into school and just curse everyone out. But I also have to understand that, sometimes um, school leadership needs help. And how can I be more of a service and supporting them to learn versus kind of making this a as I would say beef, beef between me and the schools, beef between me and the teachers. I don't want to have no beef, y'all. I just don't want to have no beef. So, another thing is help provide special education, parents the tools to learn their special education rights in transitioning an extended school year program. So, this is important, y'all. And so this is a lot of the stuff that we also do with Autism Sprinter is that, we help parents improve their relationships with school districts. We definitely share a lot of laws, policies, and procedures so parents know how to draft emails and know how to advocate with the proper tools. A lot of the also work that I do within the Autism Sprinter work is bring more parents to the table to influence policy change. We help parents identify real long-term school and lifelong goals for their loved ones. We also help the process of modernizing parent and community engagement in a partnership in a partnership because we have to work as partners. um why is parent and school relationship important? Parent school partnerships foster healthy communication, which in return helps students be adaptive in school, want to attend school regularly, and have better relationships with teachers, and also have less behavioral problems and academic issues that impact their academic achievement. Parent school relationships are important as it promotes a healthy school culture. And let me tell you, I know that all of us have that issue. We sometimes feel like unheard and unseen, and sometimes we have to get ignorant, right? Because I know I have. And I'll follow up with a sorry, but sometimes I really am not sorry. And that's just being real. Sometimes I have to say what I have to say and mean what I say. And parents, it's okay to do that. It's just a healthy balance, um, when parent and school have healthy, communicative relationships, you're able to respond more effectively to meet the needs of your child with an IEP, and 504 plan. There has to be an open, communication. Um, Education is a shared commitment between dedicated teachers, motivated students, and enthusiastic parents with high expectations. I believe that. Although this may be different for families who have children who are nonverbal and have, limited, uh, I don't like saying limited skills, but are just uniquely different. This you know this can mean differently to everyone, but it is a shared commitment, and we have to have a shared responsibility. That's how we build our power in our voices. um our mission in Autism Sprinter is aiming to empower and enrich the lives of families with loved ones on the autism spectrum through our dedication in improving community outreach, advocacy, and resource. Our pilot vision is to foster strong relationship among special education parents, educators, district leaders, community members, politicians, and all stakeholders in education, which is focusing on communication, transparency, participation, and reforming special education, because that needs to be reformed. And here's just another picture of our 2019 superhero party at the Randolph Intergenerational Community Center. Please refer parents who want to learn how to activate their voices and need the tools to learn systems, refer them to us. Find us on social media. You can find us on every social media handling at Autism Sprinter. We have a Facebook group dedicated for parents to meet other parents, speak their truth, and get the knowledge from other parents. If you follow us, you'll see that a lot of our work comes from parents. We do a lot of partnerships with local providers and, workshops by, people leading the charge in this conversation, but most of the work comes from our parents. So thank you for your time, y'all. This is how I built my parent power. So, again, is the power in your voice, the power of you doing research, the power of you having access to knowledge and building on that knowledge so that when you send that email stipulates a law, and it stipulates policy. So therefore, when they respond, they have to respond based on the work that they're supposed to do and they're obligated to do and they're supposed to fulfill. And that comes from you amplifying your voice and your ability to hold people to task as they would hold you to task as a parent. So I hope you enjoyed my parent power and how I built my parent power voice and how it turned into a whole nonprofit to supporting families with autism throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This has been amazing. I look forward to building with you guys and seeing more of you. And, thank you for this opportunity. Have a good day, y'all.
Autism Sprinter. Think equity. Yeah. It's time to give the power back to the people. We're fighting to make our beliefs equal. Look at the failed policies and how they treat you. We got strength, yeah, we're far from feeble. This is for anyone with autism or a disability. Time to unite, show them how strong our will can be. Move readily, we're promoting equity. A non-profit platform, that's the recipe. Now throw your hands up, we finally got a winner. Think equity with Autism Sprinter. Now throw your hands up, we finally got a winner. Think equity with Autism Sprinter. It's time to make a change. It's time to stand up for what we believe in. Equality and equity across the board. No matter your race, nation, or creed, disability, or your needs. Yes, it gotta be equal. It gotta be right.